The Nightbeat starts right now.
It was just a real nice place, really nice people, and just a horrible. I mean, that's actually the swimming pool where I taught my young daughter how to swim. That first time in a pool was there, and all I can say is just it's so sad because the people there were just so nice.
Memories before the tragedy. Matson Rayner, general manager of KNBT Radio in New Braunfels, recalling those fond memories of his time spent at a beachfront condo near Miami, which partially collapsed today, killing at least one with many more feared dead.
Rescuers have pulled dozens of survivors from that rubble, but many more remain trapped. We'll have a full report on that tragedy coming up a little bit later on the Nightbeat.
But first, myocarditis, also often referred to as heart inflammation. The Food and Drug Administration now says that can be one of the side effects of the Moderna and Pfizer vaccines in teenagers and young adults.
That finding is, of course, prompting a lot of questions for caregivers and pediatricians. But they say myocarditis is often mild and temporary. The 19's Patty Santos talks to a local doctor who says there is a more severe inflammation of the heart and other organs in kids that can be caused by a COVID-19 infection itself.
Some can be extremely short of breath.
Young males between 12 to 39 years old, listen up. The CDC safety group says there's likely a link between the Pfizer and Moderna vaccines and heart inflammation in your age group.
So when we think about myocarditis, we think about inflammation of the actual muscle in the heart. And then there's a sac surrounding the heart and the muscle. And that sac can also be inflamed, and that's called pericarditis.
But Dr. Mandy Tabals-Vitek with University Health says heart and other organ inflammation are also a side effect of COVID-19, more closely linked to multi-system inflammatory syndrome in children, or MIS-C.
Which you'll see that usually 2 to 4 weeks after COVID infection. And we've seen a couple of cases here affecting children from that standpoint.
While concerning, she says most of the time the inflammation goes down on its own, and to ease any hesitation for those 12 years and up holding off on the vaccine due to the latest data, she simply says take a look at the risk factors. More than 2,700 people under the age of 20 have died due to COVID. There's been more than 4,000 cases of MIS-C, some of which included heart inflammation issues. Compare that, she says, to the CDC reported 323 cases of heart inflammation following the millions of vaccines administered.
That risk to not vaccinate isn't a risk that you should be taking. You should be vaccinating.
And adults can also have inflammation of the heart and other organs as a result of COVID-19. Dr. Vitek says as we get more data, we might also find out that other adults are also seeing similar side effects as a result of the vaccines. Steve, Myra.
All right, thank you, Patty. New on the Nightbeat, San Antonio police making an arrest in a deadly shooting that happened at an Eastside convenience store. Police say a witness at the scene pointed them to the Facebook profile of Rashawn Harris and identified him as the driver of a car seen leaving the scene that night. Officers say they learned Harris was the one who allegedly pulled the trigger, and they've now charged him with murder. He's accused of killing Cameron Terrell Woods at Stanley's Ice House Station along East Commerce near South New Braunfels Avenue. That was back on May 20th. Police say Woods was shot twice in the chest. According to an arrest affidavit, the victim and the suspect had been arguing 3 days before this shooting. An exact motive remains unclear.
This evening, loved ones remembering a man whose life was cut short by gun violence. Family members releasing balloons in honor of Curtis Parnell, who was killed on Father's Day off Pleasure Park Drive on the west side. Police say Parnell was in the midst of a child exchange when he was allegedly shot by 34-year-old Devontae Campbell, who has since been charged with murder. Tonight, his ex-wife speaking about Parnell as a father.
He was an amazing dad. You know, like we argued a lot, but one thing I could never say was that he was a sorry father. Like 3G was his everything, you know, and he put him before anything. He loved his son. That was his mini-me. He was a third. He carried his name. That was his legacy.
Again, that was Parnell's ex. It's still unclear at this time what led to the shooting or what the motive was. Police say the investigation is ongoing.
Today, we heard from the attorney of a former Bexar County Sheriff's Office lieutenant who was fired months after posting multiple photographs on Facebook showing her near the U.S. Capitol during the deadly January 6th riot. That firing was a promise that Sheriff Javier Salazar made not long after those pictures came to light.
He made it clear very early on. The question that I think begs to be asked is what evidence was he relying on? And our position is there was no evidence. We do have plans to move forward on a wrongful termination lawsuit.
Posting throughout the events of that day, 46-year-old Roxanne Matai was pictured outside the Capitol in a red, white, and blue mask and draped in a President Donald Trump flag. In some captions, she says that she was headed to the Capitol after listening to President Trump deliver a speech during the Save America March. Matai also posted a picture showing rioters after they had broken through a police line and occupied the balcony of the Capitol. You can read more about this case right now on our website at KSAT.com.
Nearly 3 weeks since the deadly mass shooting on Austin's 6th Street, police in Killeen say they've arrested the suspect Austin authorities have been searching for, 19-year-old DeAndre White, taken into custody this afternoon in Killeen. His arrest comes after Austin police say they had dropped charges against the two people already in custody, announcing they were instead searching for White. White set to be charged with murder in connection with that shooting that left one man dead, 13 others injured. It's unclear at this time what other charges he may face.
A citywide disaster. That is how a report released today describes what took place during the February winter storm. The Committee on Emergency Preparedness was tasked to investigate what went wrong and what needs to be improved. This 46-page report found that SAWS, CPS Energy, and the city did not properly communicate with the public or among themselves. That report says that CPS Energy did not notify SAWS about the rotating power outages before they happened. The city's Emergency Operations Center didn't know about the water boil notice until it was issued. It also found that if there was another winter storm similar to the one we saw in February, we would experience similar power outages because of the way ERCOT manages the state's energy grid. The report made more than 50 recommendations, including developing legislation that eliminates the Public Utilities Commission's ability to manipulate the price of power, and CPS Energy reevaluating its strategies for purchasing natural gas, which led to them spending $685 million during that week.
June is Post-Traumatic Stress Disorder Awareness Month, and a new study shows the number of deaths by suicide among active duty and veteran service members now surpassing that of deaths in combat. The Night Team's Jonathan Condo spoke with a local veteran who says suicide is a crisis that's plaguing the veteran community.
To think that, what the enemy couldn't do overseas, we're doing to ourselves.
Michael Odell, a Marine veteran, says joining the military was always something he wanted to do and accomplish. He joined the military when he was just 19.
I joined, like I said, because I wanted to become something bigger than myself, be a part of a brotherhood.
Odell turned 21 while overseas. By this age, he already had 2 deployments under his belt and says he definitely understands the challenges of post-traumatic stress firsthand.
One of our brothers committed suicide on the 2nd deployment, that really, that took a toll on a lot of us, because that's not something you're trained for in the military, in boot camp. You're not trained to respond to your brother's suicide. You're trained to respond to the combat trauma.
A report released by Brown University's Cost of War project found that the suicide rate among active duty and veterans is outpacing that of the general population.
It's a crisis, right? We're as a nation, we're facing a crisis.
Dr. Thomas Stewart, a contributor for the Cost of War project, says the increase in veteran and active duty suicides has taken an alarming shift.
While this is an estimate, it does look as though easily 4 times as many veterans and active component service members have died by suicide than the 7,057 that died in just general military operations.
Now, Odell says he's been able to mitigate his battle with post-traumatic stress and has now shifted his mission to helping save the lives of his fellow veterans.
I get to answer the phone when a veteran or first responder is in crisis. I get to answer that phone, and I get to share with them that it's not over.
Odell, as well as the study, both say the high suicide rates aren't only linked to combat, but also stress and military culture. Brown University and Odell hope this study will bring awareness to the mental health crisis. If you or someone you know needs support, Call Warrior's Heart 24/7 at this number, 888-440-7101.
As Judson ISD continues to grapple with the aftermath of that ransomware attack, which crippled its phones and its email services, there is some good news. The district superintendent was one of the first educators to tour a new $200 million learning facility in Austin. This campus is called the Holdsworth Center. It's a gift from HEB Chairman Charles Butt and is located along Austin's Lake Travis. This was designed for education leaders from Texas public schools with the intent to help them strengthen the leadership within their own schools, starting with the top administration.
Every parent wants the very best for their children. In order to have the very best for your child, is that leader is the very best.
The center is only available to a select few public school districts around the state right now. That includes Judson, East Central, and Southwest ISDs here in the San Antonio area. They plan to expand that to 38 more districts in the near future. Meantime, as for that ransomware attack, Judson ISD officials said today it is still under investigation and they still don't know what information was accessed in that attack. In the meantime, the district has set up phone numbers for its summer school and transportation services. Those are on your screen right now. We also have these listed on KSAT.com. Judson ISD officials say they will continue sharing updates on this attack on social media and on the district's website.
Nearly 100 people still unaccounted for as rescue teams work into the night trying to save those buried under the rubble of what was once a beachside condo building near Miami. The latest on this developing tragedy when the Nightbeat returns.
Now to Surfside, Florida, just north of Miami Beach, where officials say 99 people are still missing after a residential building collapsed overnight.
The crew's continuing to search and rescue efforts for any survivors as family members anxiously wait for some answers. ABC's Rena Roy with the latest from Surfside.
A delicate dance at this beachfront condo building as emergency crews search for survivors in mountains of debris. Soraya Cohen's husband Brad and brother-in-law Gary among the missing.
My 12-year-old daughter, who's absolutely like beyond in shock. She's so close to her father. Who's going to survive that rubble?
Rescuers wading through the flooded basement of the 12-story condo building in hopes of finding the dozens still missing.
This process is slow and methodical. You see that every time there's a shift in the rubble, we have additional rubble that shifts on us.
Security cameras show the structure crashing down in just seconds around 1:30 Thursday morning. Families with children sleeping inside. At least 3 were killed and many had to be rescued. These bunk beds left dangling in the remnants of a bedroom.
Still have people standing upstairs that don't need to be evacuated.
Gabe Neer and his family moved into the building 6 months ago, running outside after they heard the first collapse.
We just ran for our lives and it was nothing but just white, thick cloud of dust.
This young boy pulled from the rubble.
He was saying, can you see me? As he was waving his hands, I just made sure that he could hear my voice and know that, somebody's there. And that, I'm trying to get help. We're going to get you out of there.
Rena Roy, ABC News, Surfside, Florida.
As always, you can continue to follow the latest developments in this story as they happen on KSAT.com. Our coverage on air and online, and will continue on air tomorrow morning on GMSA.
Take a look outside from Sky 12 tonight. That looks festive down there.
You know, the VFW post right across the river from KSAT 12 on 10th Street, they're having the 10th Street Fiesta event tonight. And they have been rocking since early this afternoon.
Literally rocking and rolling.
Yeah.
I heard
it.
Yeah, I heard some polka as well.
Oh, yeah.
Earlier this evening.
A little bit of everything coming from over there.
Yeah, always a good time there at the local VFW. Really is. Good location, too. It's fun times. All right, let's talk about our weather headlines and what's coming down the pike. First of all, Hondo, Texas. Congratulations. A new state record. Unfortunately, it came with a large hailstone and had to do with your hailstorm back in April. We'll get into that, but then also talk about the pattern shift that's coming on Sunday, which then brings in the return of some rain and storm chances. So I don't know how to look at it, but I guess if you're going to have really bad hail, at least it goes down in the record books. Is that a silver lining. So take a look at this. It was officially confirmed now that the April storm back on the 28th, that big supercell that hit Hondo and surrounding areas, Dehennis, of course, as well. That hailstone weighed in at 1.26 pounds, circumference nearly 20 inches, just shy of it, diameter of almost 6.5 inches, and a volume of about 40 cubic inches. And this is after melting a little bit and being stored unbagged in a freezer. So it was even larger than what was measured when it fell. So that is a new state record, but that is what was measured with advanced technology. We've got more on this on KSAT.com. And even remember a couple of months ago, we ran a story, which is still on KSAT.com, regarding the measurement of it. All right, let's talk about our weather pattern. Not much in terms of rain showers. A few hit or miss brief little showers popped up along the coastal plain. Otherwise, West Texas had another day of some pop-up thunderstorms. That's good because you look at the latest drought monitor, that's where we need the rain the most in the state of Texas. Only 13% of the state is in drought, and the vast majority of that is far west Texas. Beautiful part of the state, but it could use a good splash of water. Of course, the western third of the United States could use a splash of rain, and we're starting to get a little bit of that here in the Intermountain West. Of course, the Pacific Northwest, unprecedented heat wave. I mean, they're seeing some all-time record high temperatures up there. But here we've got the big blue H that's settled overhead. It's going to be in control of our weather. So notice how you really don't see the rain underneath it. It's around it and being basically deflected and steered around us. This is going to continue the next couple of days through Saturday. By Sunday, it falls apart, it dissipates, and it really opens the door for a disturbance. And I think we're going to have one coming in from the Gulf of Mexico, an upper level system, what we call a tutlow coming in. Upper level disturbance coming in Sunday, even on into Monday. That should provide just enough lift with our instability and moisture to kickstart some thunderstorms and showers, isolated in nature, Sunday afternoon, Sunday evening, and then again, I think a little more widespread Monday into Tuesday. Actually, most of us won't get it, but those of us that do will get a little maintenance rain Sunday and early next week. 95 degrees, that was our high today. That's 2 degrees above average. Right now, we're at 84, but a dew point is 74, so it still feels like we're 91. Meanwhile, 86 Carrizo Springs, 81 in Fredericksburg, and 83 now in Pleasanton. Tomorrow morning, widespread 70s, but I think we'll be well into the 70s to start the day for most of us. Then by the afternoon, we just do this all over again. Back near triple digits closer to the Rio Grande. Pleasanton about 97, Canyon Lake 95, along with Gonzales. Helotes 94, Timberwood Park 95, Elmendorf and Lavernia. High temperatures around 96. And we'll start the day with the early morning low clouds, giving way to a ton of sunshine by the midday and afternoon. Southeasterly breeze at 10 to 20. And of course, you'll notice the humidity. Same old into Saturday. Then we see that shift with those isolated pop-up showers and storms Sunday into early next week. A little better coverage for the showers and storms, plus more clouds. So we're thinking upper 80s at that point.
Nice.
Nice.
All right, how about that? Thanks, Adam.
All right, Kawhi was in the building. He was not on the court tonight.
No, he wasn't, but at least the Clippers seem to be getting along without him well early on. However, the Suns making a push late. When we come back, how long could Kawhi be out in this Western Conference Finals? We'll let you know. And Mario Barrios, the world champion from San Antonio's final press conference before he defends his title, coming up.
Every time both of us are in the ring, man, both of us start with bad intentions. You know, both of us are in there, you know, to hurt and take out our opponent.
Before he climbs into the ring to defend his world championship and headline Showtime Boxing, one final word from San Antonio's own Mario Barrios in Big Board Sports. But first, Rick Carlisle did not stay out of work very long. The former Dallas Mavericks head coach is now the new head coach of the Indiana Pacers. A week after resigning as the head coach of the Mavericks after 13 seasons, Carlisle signed a 4-year, $29 million deal with the Pacers. Remember, he was able to lead the Mavs to their only title in 2011, but friction between him and the team star Luka Doncic and Carlisle saw the handwriting on the wall. Now he gets to return to the team he used to coach before the Mavs. He was a Pacers head coach in 2003 to 2007, leading Indiana to 3 playoff appearances, including the Eastern Conference Finals in 2004. 4. That's after he was one of Larry Bird's top assistants for 3 seasons. And now he replaces Nick Bjorkgren, who was fired this month after just 1 season. And Rick Carlisle is not being shy about who he wants to replace him in Dallas. Jason Kidd, in an interview with ESPN, Carlisle explained how Kidd and Doncic share many things in common with players who have special qualities. Carlisle feels it would be a good marriage, and he was even more emphatic about that. My hope is that Jason Kidd will be the next head coach of the Mavs, and at least one report says the Mavs are working on that as we speak. Former Spur Kawhi Leonard is missing his 5th straight game, his 3rd in the Western Conference Finals tonight, as the best-of-7 series is now in Los Angeles for Games 3 and 4. Kawhi has not played since injuring his right knee in Game 4 of the Western Conference semifinals against the Utah Jazz. But the Clippers were able to win without him to eliminate the Jazz, but have now been unable to win without him since the Western Conference Finals tip-off. And now there's speculation that Kawhi won't be available unless Los Angeles is able to become the best in the West and head to the NBA Finals. There have been some comparisons drawn to Kawhi's disappearance after he injured his right quad when playing for the Spurs in 2017 and now in 2021 after a reported sprain of his anterior cruciate ligament in his right knee. The Western Conference Finals shifts to Los Angeles for Games 3 and between the Suns and the Clippers. LA trying to avoid falling in the 0-3 hole, but the Suns get Chris Paul back from COVID protocol after missing Games 1 and 2. Paul George finds his touch early. The first, a 13-footer three-pointer, then a 20-foot baseline jumper, and LA is up by 8 after 1. The Suns rise in the second. Devin Booker knocks down the 3 off the assist from Chris Paul. Then Michael Bridges from 14 feet out caps off a 14-4 run. The Suns' lead would eventually grow to 6, but George blows by the defense for the one-handed punch. It's only a 2-point game, 48-46 at the half. Let's update that score now. We're in the fourth quarter. The Clippers are leading the Suns 94-83. The Clippers having their way with them late in that third quarter, but the Suns try to make a comeback, but that's the score, the latest update. The Valero Texas Open delivers on their promise to help local charities again. Next.
Pro football coverage, powered by Davis Law Firm.
The Dallas Cowboys are expected to bid on the NFL Combine when it becomes available to do so in 2023. That's according to the Dallas Morning News. The NFL Combine has been hosted by Indianapolis since 1987 and will do so again in 2022. But starting in 2023, the NFL has decided to open it up to bidding. The Cowboys have thrown their hat into that ring. One big advantage for the Cowboys, they have AT&T Stadium, which has already hosted a Super Bowl and the NFL Draft. Now they also have the Star, their 91-acre facility that has 2 indoor practice fields that seats 12,000 people, 2 more outside, plus a 300-room hotel and medical facility as well. Congratulations to running back Sincere McCormick, who has now collected his 2nd preseason All-America honor and being named to Phil Steele's 2nd team. Last week, Sincere was named as Walter Camp preseason 2nd team All-American. This after he was named to Dave Campbell's Texas Football Magazine's best running back and 1st team All-Texas College. McCormick enjoyed a record-breaking season, sophomore season for UTSA, setting the single-season marks in rushing and touchdowns, to name a few, that earned him Conference USA Offensive Player of the Year. We are just 2 days away from San Antonio world champion Mario Barrios' big title defense against Gervonta Davis. They're the headline, the Showtime's pay-per-view worldwide broadcast on Saturday night at the State Farm Arena in Atlanta. Today was the final press conference for these 2 undefeated fighters who will climb into the ring to fight for El Azteca's WBC super lightweight title.
I'm just as good of a fighter, just as explosive, just as fast, and I mean, I have the size, to present a lot of difficulties to Tank, and that's exactly what I plan on doing.
All right, the pay-per-view event will start at 8 p.m. on Saturday. It can be purchased for $69.99. The Valero Texas Open distributed over $9.5 million to 160 deserving local charities today. Happened at the Rustic, located at the Rim, hosted by our good friend Randy Carroll from KJ97. That's after Jordan Spieth surprised everyone by winning the 2021 Valero Texas Open after last year's PGA Tour event had to be canceled due to the COVID-19 pandemic.
After last year, charities need these funds more than ever to come back from the pandemic and the effects of the pandemic. And so to be able to host this event, do it in person, is even more meaningful. And we can't wait to see what these organizations do with the funds that we're donating today to make an impact in people's lives.
And can't wait to generate even more money next year.
Absolutely. Thanks, Greg.
We'll be right back.
That's it for the Night Beat. GMSA at 4:30.
Have a great night.